Kyle, are in-bays and self-serve washes on the rise?
Absolutely. We've seen, that's our bread and butter at Oasis is in-bays and automatics. That's what we do. And we've seen a dramatic increase in the in-bays and self-serves in inquiries and reloads and even new builds. We've had a lot of new builds come up as well. So I think it's a really big piece of the market that's coming back.
Presented from the Aishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
Welcome to the Professional Car Washing and Detailing's Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest is Kyle Martin from Oasis Car Wash Systems. Welcome, Kyle.
Brian, thanks for having me.
We're really excited to have you here. I want to jump right in with a hard question.
Okay, let's do it.
Talk to me about how important it is to have support from your OEM and your distributor.
Oh, it's so important, and we'll look at it from both angles. So as an OEM, right, we want our customers to be as self-sufficient as they can be. So we try as an OEM to provide as much resources and information as we can. So we host training classes, we run a 7-day-a-week support line, all these different things that we can do to try to support the customer. And from that, you get this relationship. So when you're buying equipment for a car wash, it's not about the equipment exclusively. It's about the equipment and the relationship that you're going to get from the OEM, the support that you're going to have. And, equipment is designed to last 10, 15, 20 years. So that's a relationship that you're going to have over the course of the next decade. And so to find an OEM partner that's willing to support you and go above and beyond to meet the needs is extremely important. And we operate off of a distributor network. And so for the ones locally who need extra support, because not all of us are mechanically inclined, and even to that extent, when you're out and trying to figure something out, even those are mechanically inclined, some of the stuff is difficult to figure out. And so having a distributor that you can rely on, that you can trust to come out and provide service and maintenance and things like that, or even just a call to ask tips or things to do, winter's coming. How can I winterize my wash? Well, you want to have somebody, a distributor or an OEM, who's done this before, who knows the car wash, who knows how to winterize, who knows how to support, can help you titrate and do all these different things. So having that relationship is extremely critical to set you up for the next decade or 2 decades to have a successful wash.
Well, I mean, in the United States, that's longer than the average marriage lasts. That's
exactly right.
Yeah, you better go into it with your eyes wide
Yes.
open on the relationship you're going to have.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, we actually have a distributor of ours that I talked to about this relationship, about the relationship with the customers. And that was kind of his tagline, is he's there for the marriage and the long-term commitment that comes from that marriage. He's not just there for the wedding ceremony, the quick and fun and it's exciting. He's there for the marriage. And I really like that. I liked that saying, and that's kind of the approach that it should be, right? Is you're there for a long-term commitment, longer than most marriages.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to talk a little bit about in-bay and self-serve.
Okay.
Why do you think that they're on the rise like they are?
Well, there's a few different things that kind of contribute to that. So years ago, right, in-bays and self-serves were huge. That was a big piece of the car wash industry. And then it kind of shifted to tunnels, and you start seeing all these tunnels pop up. And it's individual owners, which then turns into these franchises. And then you've got private equity that comes in. And so these tunnels that are designed to go in these metropolitan areas with large populations to wash a bunch of cars, they're getting put in everywhere. Then they start putting them in on top of each other. I'm from Joplin, and we've got one road that's got like 7 tunnels on this one road, and it's a town of like 50,000 people.
Wow.
And so it's just, it kind of got to a point where all these tunnels were coming in, and it was all private equity backed, and it was all these major tunnels, but you still have all of these in-bays and self-serves that existed before and continued to be built and are being built now. And on the in-bay side, in-bays and self-serve side, the equipment cost in comparison to tunnels is like half the cost, give or take. I mean, depending on what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But it's about half the cost. You have virtually zero labor other than paying an attendant to come and wash the site down and kind of clean up the trash, maybe help customers, things like that. But you're not staffing a car wash 16 hours a day.
Yeah.
And so the labor cost is way less. And, you know, as people start to look at their revenue and their data, and they start analyzing where their money's going, you know, how many cars are we washing? Where's our money going? Where's it coming from? You realize that on the in-bay and the self-serve side, the margins are phenomenal. The equipment cost is low. You've got a low barrier to entry to get into that side as compared to a tunnel. And you have very low overhead as you're going through, you know, the next 10 years of operations. You don't have the labor and all of this stuff that comes with a tunnel. And so I think that's kind of been a big part of it is how profitable in-bays and self-serves can be and how it's a lot less to manage than a tunnel is.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, well, and it's difficult to even find people. I mean,
Yeah.
not even just the cost of finding people, it's the difficulty to find them and keep them.
Yeah, you're not kidding.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Well, and in Joplin, Missouri, probably nobody wants to be standing at the front of the tunnel in December or January,
That's right. Especially this last December and January where it got cold. They were out. You know, we don't get cold that often, but we got cold this last winter. And so finding people to stand out at the kiosk helping customers is difficult. It's tough to do.
Yeah. I mean, we have the same problem here in Akron.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a lot colder here.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Well, talk to me about your Typhoon Eclipse system for in-bay tunnels. I know you've had a lot of interest in that. How does that work?
Yeah. So it kind of going back to the tunnel thing, right, that we were just talking about and how there's all these tunnels that have been built. Well, there are a lot of tunnels that are out there that were built in markets that maybe didn't call for a tunnel, or maybe there's been multiple other tunnels come in, big chains or something that have come in on top of privately owned tunnels. So these guys are looking for a way to differentiate themselves in the marketplace. And they're washing, 30, 40, 50,000 cars a year, but they've got all the expenses that come with running a tunnel. So we created and developed what we call our Typhoon Eclipse, and it can be done in our Typhoon or our i5 machine, even our XP machine. But it's designed to go into a 60 to 90 or 100-foot tunnel and replace that tunnel equipment. And so you've got a wash bay where you can offer the same things that you can offer in a tunnel. You can offer tire scrub, the pre-soaks, the waxes, everything you can offer in a tunnel, you offer on the in-bay. And you offer it in the wash section of that bay. And then you've got a door that divides the bay up. And then on the other side of that door is a dryer bay. And so the customer then, once they're done with their wash, they pull into the dryer bay. The door comes down, you're loading the next car. And then that car is getting a dryer. And that dry moves back and forth over the car. So you're washing a car and drying a car simultaneously. And when the drying is done, they get a tire shine. So you're offering the same things that you're offering in a tunnel, condensed to an in-bay, with half the equipment cost, a lot less overhead, and you're able to really provide, it's touchless. And so you can really differentiate yourself in that market space.
And what about labor? How does that affect labor?
It's the same as an in-bay.
Really?
So we have one guy that comes in, and he'll come in, let's say 7 o'clock. And he'll come in and scrub the walls and clean up the trash and wash down the self-serve bays. And then he'll kind of hang out for a few hours and help customers, go to lunch, come back, do the same thing, help customers, take out trash, things like that, and then go home. So we just have one guy that comes in and does that. And so the labor is far less than it is in a tunnel.
Great. Well, you brought it up to me about a week ago that you were at a show, and data was the talk of the town. Everybody's talking data, KPIs. Talk to me about what data and what information are car wash owners looking for, and how are they hoping that it'll impact their business?
We've talked about data, and we've talked about how important data is across every industry, and knowing not only what the data tells you, but how to use that data effectively. In the car wash operator space, there's really 3 main categories, if you will, that you can break down data into. So you've got revenue and financial, so all of your financial information, all of that data. Then you've got your operational data, and you're tracking things like downtime and things of that nature. And then you've got customer and sales. And within each one of those categories, you break it out and you look farther into each one. And having a good grasp on each of those 3 main categories gives you a very good overview of your car wash and the picture that it really creates for what you're doing. So from the revenue and financial standpoint, looking at average ticket price, looking at how many cars you washed, looking at your labor costs, looking at your expenses, things of that nature are going to fall into that category. And understanding how these different things like revenue and average ticket price and your wash package mix, so you have 4 wash packages, how many people pick the top wash, how many people pick the second, the third, the fourth. Understanding that data gives you a lot of information. So the guys at Oasis, the owners of Oasis, they also own and operate local sites. And we were sitting last week looking at their sites and looking at their wash package mix. And what we've seen is the majority of the customers were buying the top wash, which sounds like a good thing. But that tells you that really your washes are underpriced. You can go up and charge a little bit more for your washes. And so as you start to look at some of these data points and understand what they tell you, you're able to really flesh out how you can operate and things that you're doing, not only that are great, like you're selling a lot of car washes, but things that you can increase in and things that you can do better at, which kind of falls in the operational category. So looking at your downtime, looking at the mean time between faults. So how many, in a 12-hour day, how many faults am I getting and how often are they coming? And another one, mean time to repair. So when something happens, it's mechanical. Something's obviously going to happen. Doesn't matter who the manufacturer is, doesn't matter how good of an operator you are. At some point, something is going to happen that shuts the wash down. And so how quickly does that get fixed? Looking at and understanding those data points give you a really good idea operationally of where you're at and where your money's going, where it's coming from, where are you losing money, right? If you're down for 3 or 4 days, look at the revenue that costs.
Yeah.
So understanding as you go through a lot of that big data, some of that stuff, really allows you to then kind of focus on the next one, the customer, and understanding, your mix of individual sales compared to memberships, looking at how many memberships you have, churn rates, things like that. All of that together gives you kind of a big overview picture of the data of your site and how well you're operating.
You bring up, the downtime. I mean, hopefully you have a good marriage with your OEM and your distributor,
which is why
and they can help you.
So important to have that. That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Well, I want to kind of change topics again,
Okay.
and I kind of go back to something you brought up. You brought up a street in Joplin, Missouri that has 7 tunnels, and that's becoming a more and more common occurrence across the United States, where there's a lot of competition that maybe we didn't have years ago. What can a car wash really do from a marketing perspective to differentiate themselves and make themselves more attractive than the other 6 that are on the same street?
That's right. It's a tough market to compete in, especially when it gets that saturated. There's several things that they can do from a marketing perspective that really would help them. And I would say the first thing is to really provide a clear marketing position. So what I mean by that is, what do we want to be known for? When you take into consideration all these other washes and all the things that they're offering, what is it that your site can offer that's different? And is it speed? Is it memberships, unlimited memberships, or family discounts, or things like that? What are some of the things, a full service, and in the tunnel space, you could do a full service wash. What are some of the things that you can do to separate yourself? And from that is what you build on. So you have your differentiation strategy. You've looked to figure out what it is that you can do differently, and then you build around that. And you make sure that your brand identifies with that. You make sure that all of your signage and your lights and all this stuff all comes back to the central focus of who we are. And this is what we do that's different. And another one is, and we just kind of talked about it, but strong membership strategy. So memberships have obviously become almost the standard in the car wash industry now, to offer some sort of membership platform.
Oh, it's like a SaaS platform now.
It is.
It's a SaaS business.
It is. That's exactly right. And when you offer these memberships, you have to have almost a marketing strategy behind it. So you want it to be in front of them. You want it to be easy to sign up, frictionless to sign up and easy to pay and all of this stuff, and offer family plans or multi-car discounts and things like that. There's marketing programs out there that I've seen that your first month or first 2 months are $5 or $10. So figuring out kind of from the data what your area needs, what it calls for, and what your site can do, what it can handle, you can then kind of create this membership platform idea and kind of push it out in a marketing aspect to get in front of people and to say, okay, this is what we're offering from a membership space that's different than other people are offering. Another one is the superior customer experience. So, and I say that because that in and of itself can be a marketing strategy. For you to pull in to a clean, well taken care of facility with friendly staff where you get a quality car wash every time that you come in. It's easy to use. It's frictionless throughout the whole thing. And I'm not talking about brushes, not talking a touchless machine, but frictionless in the sense of it's easy. It's easy to use. When you provide that type of service and you are friendly and knowledgeable and helpful and they have a great experience, that is a marketing tool in and of itself, is that customer service aspect of it. That's another big marketing tool. So another big one is data-driven marketing. So you look at the data and you look at the seasonality of your ordering and when customers are using your washes. So you take it from, okay, we're getting a lot of washes in spring. All of the pollens come down, we're getting a lot of washes. Let's push out, a promo that says this month memberships are $5 or memberships are $10. Because then those that are single pay customers that are washing the pollen off and they're using your wash for the first time, you can use that data to then target them and say, hey, you used our wash, now here's a membership offer for $5. And so from all of that data, you can use that to push out a great marketing plan.
I guess one of the other ideas might be that I come into your wash, I'm just doing a one-time wash. You don't know who I am. But if I sign up for a $5 membership, now you know everything about me.
Now you've got all the information. That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
So whether it's $5 or $10, maybe I sign up and then I leave, but now you can follow up with me forever. And in the spring, I'm probably likely to be a good prospect.
Yes, that's exactly right. And once you sign up, even if you cancel your membership, you've got all of these drip marketing campaigns and all this stuff that sends out texts and emails and say, hey, come back, we miss you. Things like that try to get them back into the membership space.
Nice. Well, Kyle, is there anything more you'd like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. So one, at Oasis, very excited, we just moved manufacturing facilities. And so that has allowed us to really not only increase efficiencies, but increase innovation in the way that we do things. And we're getting ready to launch a new product. And I don't know if it'll be ready by the ICA or not, but hopefully sometime around then, May or June, we're going to launch a new product. So we're very excited about that. Very excited about the ICA show. I always love going to the show and seeing everybody out there and meeting new people and seeing old friends across the car wash industry. So a lot of fun, very excited for that. And if you want to know any more about Oasis, then you can give us a call or send us an email. We're always happy to help. And that's it.
Well, Kyle, thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Brian. It's been fun.
Yeah. Hope to have you again soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you for taking the time to join us for this Professional Car Washing and Detailing's Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest has been Kyle Martin from Oasis Wash Systems. We hope to see you again on a future episode.